Marvel Rivals Season 9 has gone live, and within 24 hours, they have already patched it with a hotfix, and players are not happy about it. But is this anger justified? In this video, I want to go over the changes that were made in Season 9 to the characters that have been patched and what they did to change them on the first day and why. Hey, what's going on, guys? My name is Shred and this is Shred Ready. If you like Marvel Rivals content, make sure to like and subscribe. Always remember to have fun. Now let's get after it. Now, before we get started on all of the different character changes that were made in the patches, the one thing I wanted to point out is I come from a fighting games background, and I can tell you right now, right off the bat, is that changing characters or patching anything like within 24 hours after like the Season 9 has been released, that is a big no-no. You gotta let it breathe. That is the one thing that I would say right now is you gotta let the game breathe. There is like a few different things in there that definitely need to be fixed, but I haven't seen anything patched this quickly in a hotfix since Wolverine when Phoenix was released. And I mean, that definitely needed to be patched, but it was something that you can still kind of get around. Now, the Black Panther glitch, that definitely needed to be fixed, but I don't think that the rest of them needed anything. You gotta let the game breathe. Always let the game breathe, because that gives us time to figure out maybe it's not as powerful as you think. Maybe it is overtuned and that can be fixed in a later patch, sure. But this is something that should not have happened within 24 hours after Season 9 was released. So opening up with the Black Panther patch, this is the glitch that was happening. First off, in Season 9, that he got a reduced base health from 275 to 150, and they added 125 regenerative health. If you go over to the adjustments itself, it shows that they fixed an issue where Black Panther would incorrectly accumulate a damage boost when his recoverable shield was restoring, causing abnormal damage. So he was just doing crazy amounts of damage when he was getting that regenerative health going. This was a bug. It definitely needed to be fixed for sure. I didn't think it was going to be fixed this quickly. Glad they did. But so cutting over to Cyclops here, the changes that were made was he got the reduced optic blast single hit damage from 25 to 21, reduced ricochet damage from 80 to 70. He increased the cooldown of propulsion burst and optic ascent from 12 seconds to 15 seconds, remove team up anchor bonus of 5% damage boost. That's just a little bit of a nerf. This I just feel was just balanced. But over here to his adjustments that was made in the hotfix, he got an increase of optic blast damage per tick from 21 to 22. Not really that much of a difference, but then they increased the ricochet force direct hit damage from 70 to 75, which is pretty significant. And then when selecting the team up with Gambit, he reduced the cooldown from 18 seconds to 15 seconds. So that's it. They just took it back is what they did. He's just back to being overtuned again. I just think that's just kind of silly to do that, man. Why, like, you made him balanced, okay? So he was already hitting super hard. Now you and all they did was just turn it back in. So, I mean, you saw how fast this is, and then turn it up. It's not only is it more damage, it hits harder. So, and then go over to concussive beam, hit it, just hit super hard. So now it's just, yeah, back to being overtuned. Now, don't get me wrong, I love Cyclops. Glad that this is going, but yeah, back to being overtuned. Let's go over to Phoenix. Now, they increased the End Song Inferno, which is her ultimate ability to explosive damage from 140 to 150. So they gave it more damage, but then they removed the team up anchor bonus of 10% damage boost. So they gave her ultimate a little bit of a boost, but then they nerfed her team up. Over here, they increased the cosmic flames damage per hit from 55 to 60. And when selecting the team up with Rogue, they increased both direct hit damage, subsequent ricochet damage from 40 to 45, and then reduced the ability cooldown from 12 seconds to 10 seconds. Again, they just put her straight back to where she was.
You know the drill, Rogue. We hit him hard and fast.
Again, just going over here.
Double KO.
So, yeah,
Double KO. You have been judged unworthy.
Not gonna lie, it's pretty dope, but still, that I didn't need to be done. Now let's go over to the Black Widow change. So nothing beforehand because they completely just reworked her. If you check out my video where I go over the reworks and why I think it was a good idea. Now I haven't put in all the time with her. I'm actually, if you haven't played ranked, don't for at least like a week, because apparently it's just been nutty. So I would just stay away from ranked. Black Widow has an increase in the red rifle room damage from hit to 40 to 45, and she adjusted her max damage fall of 80% at 40 meters to 75% at 40 meters. They just, you know, kind of made the damage going to be,
enemy down.
you know, it lessens as you get farther away.
Double KO. Enhanced ammo.
They just gave it a little bit of,
Double KO.
they just gave it a little bit of boost. So they tuned her up a little bit. I honestly don't, again, didn't think it was necessary. This is not a necessary change. You just made a ton of changes in the game. There's no need to tune them up more. I'm glad that they tuned them up, but this is something that they should have done to begin with. But you don't need to make these changes so quickly, especially after you just completely change the character. Okay, so going over to Iron Man, so they reduced the spell field damage of his single-hand repulsor blast from 50 to 45, and then they reduced the dual-handed repulsor blast from 55 to 50, and then while armor overdrive is active, reduced repulsor blast spell field from 65 to 60. They reduced the unibeam armor overdrive damage from 190 per second to 180 per second, and then they removed the team-up anchor bonus. Just basically a giant nerf is what they gave him. And then the adjustment that was made. Now, when selecting the team up with Thor, it reduces the unibeam outer ring damage from 84 per second to 70 per second, which is standard from 108 to 85 armored. So they just nerfed him again. So you nerfed him and then nerfed him more. I just feel like NetEase just really doesn't like Iron Man. I don't know if this is just because Doomsday is coming and Robert Downey Jr. is not Tony Stark anymore, but seriously, it's like they went from straight nerf to nerf again. Definitely a decision. Definitely 100% a decision. So going over to Psylocke, the changes are made in season 9 was they increased the Psionic crossbow single hit base damage from 12 to 13. They gave her a bit of a buff on that. Reduced base health from 250 to 150, and they added 100 regenerative shield. That's because of the new regenerative shield mechanic that they added for season 9. And then when Emma Frost is selected as our team up partner, they increased the bonus health granted to Psylocke upon hitting an enemy with Wing Shoryuken from 10 to 15. And then when the Cloak and Dagger is selected with her team up partner, they increase the Psionic crossbow single hit base damage from 13 to 14. So she's kind of just back to being a demon again. She was crazy, dude. She was crazy like early on. This is like season 1, season 2, and 3. And then they nerfed her in season 8. And now we're back to her being a demon. So then the adjustment with the hotfix, they just brought her back down again. They reduced the Psionic crossbow base damage from 13 to 12. They adjusted the damage fall off, so starting at 15 meters. And then the team up with Emma Frost, the single hit Wing Shoryuken from 15 to 12, which is right in between 10 and 15 of what it was. And then when selecting the team up with Cloak and Dagger, it reduced the Psionic crossbow base damage from 14 to 13. So they just put it back. She's still going to be crazy. I know that she's still going to be super good, but dude, why would you put her up and then put her back down again? Again, every adjustment that was made, other than Black Panther and Black Widow, all they did was just put them right back down again. I don't know, that just doesn't make sense to me. All right, now going over to the strategist, because this has been kind of the talk of the town. Strategist alts universally have all been decreased, and I thought that was a really good thing, because going off of season 8 and season 8.5, the strategists were kind of the turn of the tide. Like one strategist ult, particularly like Invisible Woman, for Luna Snow, Gambit, all of them, is the fact that one ult can just turn the entire tides. And that's kind of been the case for all of Marvel Rivals to begin with, but I mean, it was pretty crazy in season 7, season 8. Coming into season 9, they decided to tone that down. Now, Gambit has kind of been the talk of the town a little bit, and for season 9, what they did was they increased the kinetic card single hit healing output from 28 to 30, and they removed the team up anchor bonus of 5% healing boost. Now going over to the adjustments that they just made in the hotfix, is that after activating healing hearts, increased self-healing from 20 seconds to 30 seconds. Gambit was crazy since his release. They just made it even more crazy. And then they increased the bridge boost healing per bounce from 50 to 65. And then when selecting the team up with Magneto, they increased the area healing from 50 to 55. They nerfed him a little bit in season 8. Season 9 gave him like a slight balance, and then just nerfed him back up to being a demon strategist again. All right, going with
bangs are
Jubilee,
about to
nothing to
come out.
read beforehand. Obviously, she was just released. Now, I can tell you right now, again, as a coming from fighting games, you gotta let the game breathe. Like, I believe that Jubilee was actually pretty well balanced.
What's
and
up,
she
bad
was
guys?
actually she's a pretty decent strategist, and she's really fun to play. Like, if you know how to work her orb, she's super OP. Let's just go over the adjustments. They reduced the energy cost of Firework Finale from 4,500 to 4,300. They reduced the charge required for Bloomy Ball from 300 to 250, and they increased the base healing from 30 to 35. And when selecting the team up with Blade, they increased the lifesteal ratio from 25 to 30%. Now, none of these needed to be changed. She was already pretty good. They made her better. I don't think she was undertuned. So that's kind of silly that they would actually go with that route. And again, when you release a character or make significant changes, such as Black Widow, you got to let the characters breathe. You gotta let
What's up, bad guys?
players adjust to the different characters and how their mechanics work. Our going with Mantis is that they removed the team up anchor bonus of 10% healing boost, and when Star-Lord is selected as her team up partner, enhance the healing output of healing flower from 10 to 2.5% of target's max health. And then when Adam Warlock is selected as her team up partner, Nature's Favor passive effect is enhanced after casting Natural Anger. And
Our enemies are
only
here.
while Natural Anger is active, you increase her self-healing from 12.5 to 17.5. Going over here, they reduce the healing provided by Healing Flower, and then when selecting the team up with Star-Lord, they reduce it. So they just put it back to what it was again. You just did it. You increased her. And by the way, I expect strategists to get a boost, especially when they're gonna do a universal nerf to their ultimate cooldowns. So again, kind of silly. So going over to Ultron is the changes that they made with the adjustments is when selecting the team up with Penny Parker, they reduced the healing provided by drones attached to other allies from 35 seconds to 15 seconds. That's a pretty significant cooldown when paired with Penny Parker, and they increased the ability cooldown from 15 seconds to 20 seconds. So Ultron got a reduction of healing with his team up, and then they increased the cooldown. So he just got, again, a massive nerf from what it was. And Ultron wasn't that elected to begin with, so interesting. I don't even want to read the next three over because they're just like, it's so hard to go over just the next three because I play, as a strategist, I play Invisible Woman, Luna Snow, and Rocket Raccoon like a lot. But just going over the adjustments was they increased the healing when retrieving orb projection from 40 to 45. They increased self-healing provided by Guardian Shield from 15 per second to 20 per second. When selecting the team up with Mr. Fantastic, increased the healing over time from 15 seconds to 25 seconds. And then they increased the invisible boundary, her ultimate ability healing from 180 per second to 200 per second. And they reduced the energy cost from 4,500 to 4,300. So reducing the cooldown they increased the amount of healing output that she has, but then they decreased the ultimate cooldown. So they put it back to kind of like season 8.5. And then with Luna Snow, they reduced the energy cost of Fate of both worlds, her ultimate ability from 500 to 4,800. With Rocket Raccoon, when selecting the team up with Root, increase the area of healing provided by a single spore. And then when selecting the team up with Squirrel Girl, increase the healing provided by a single. So he just got a buff in his healing. I mean, Rocket Raccoon in 8.5, I believe that they reduced his healing output. So, they just brought it back up again. It's just weird that they would do that they would make all these massive adjustments going into season 9 and then literally 24 hours later just take a lot of them back again. Like the changes that were made to Gambit, the changes that were made to Black Widow, to Jubilee, the nerf of Iron Man, like there was no reason to do any of this. Definitely a choice, definitely a choice, but I hope that in the next patch that they kind of put things back again to where they were, because going into season 9, we were kind of hoping for all of these changes. We got all the changes that we actually wanted because we wanted to see, especially it's a live service game. You want to see changes every season. And going into it, they made all these significant changes and then just brought them back. Again, you gotta let the characters breathe. You got to let the game breathe and let the players figure things out. And I primarily play strategists. You know, I've put more hours into Invisible Woman than any other character, and I can tell you right now that I still don't like the changes that were made to her. I think it should have been kept down. And I liked to see an increase of healing output and an increase in healing output, but an increase in the cooldowns of all their ults. Because like I said, ults change the whole trajectory. Just one Luna Snow ult can change the whole trajectory of a match. So I kind of hope in the future that they actually, kind of revert back to where they were the first 24 hours of season 9. Hey, thank you guys so much for watching the video. If you like Marvel Rivals content, make sure to like and subscribe, help this channel grow. And until next time, this is Shred.